Modern society relies on a clean binary to organize history. Inside the walls, we place civilization, the realm of intellectual freedom. Outside, we place the steppe nomad, the violent, emotional slave of the grasslands. This cultural dichotomy provides the foundational justification for Western progress. By framing the nomadic world as a chaotic vacuum, settled empires positioned their own centralized systems as the only logical endpoint of political evolution. However, the historical record tells a different story. Nomadic steppe empires repeatedly dominated and outmaneuvered the supposedly superior centralized civilizations that bordered them. The image of the lawless, primitive nomad is a deliberate colonial fiction. It was designed to obscure a highly sophisticated alternative form of political engineering that flourished for centuries. Anthropological research into the Eurasian steppes reveals a landscape of highly stratified, ruthlessly organized aristocratic orders. Anthropologist David Sneath defines this as the headless state. These nomadic societies utilized the full toolkit of state power. They enforced strict taxation, levied military drafts, maintained rigid social stratification, all without a central geographic capital. In traditional monarchies, power flows vertically. Steppe power operated horizontally, relying on a decentralized network of elites to maintain order. This distribution provided immense resilience. The network rapidly mobilized into a unified force, then dispersed seamlessly, making it impossible to strike a killing blow. The nomads operated on the principle that the state is not a coordinate on a map. It is a distributed relationship of power between people. Genghis Khan organized the Mongol Empire as a chillingly efficient manifestation of this headless state. He governed through the Yasa, a secular, reason-based civil code. It prioritized absolute social order and, crucially, subjected the sovereign and his family to the same rule of law as the common soldier. To secure the state, Genghis Khan dismantled traditional aristocratic bloodlines. He replaced inherited status with a strict meritocracy, where command was earned through competence and loyalty rather than birthright. He applied a mathematical grid to the population. Every person was categorized into rigid decimal units of 10, 100, and 1,000. This grid shattered tribal loyalties. By forcing diverse ethnicities into interlocking administrative blocks, the Khan integrated them into a highly legible state machine. Through this proto-rule of law and civic nationalism, Genghis Khan built a political system that often exceeded the sophistication of the sedentary empires he annexed. Traditional Western political science, rooted in the theories of Max Weber, often struggles to recognize this structure as a state at all. This perspective requires a state to possess a monopoly on violence, locked within a fixed, permanent geographic territory. Because the Mongols lacked permanent borders, historians frequently dismissed their empire as a parasitic war machine, merely raiding the wealth of static, sedentary civilizations. This raises the question, was the nomadic lack of borders a failure of statecraft, or is Western theory simply blind to sovereignty that doesn't rely on walls? Michel Foucault's analysis of power suggests that sovereignty is a relational capacity exerted over people, not a simple ownership of land. Evidence from Sneath and other scholars indicates that clans and tribes were administrative fictions created by colonial empires like the Qing and the Russians. These empires used the label of the tribe to politically disenfranchise nomads and justify colonial expansion into empty or primitive lands. This was biopolitics, the violent process of forcing mobile populations into rigid geographic grids to make them legible and controllable by a central bureaucracy. The expansion of settled states into the steppe succeeded through this campaign of forced sedentarization and administrative erasure. Western systems claim to be defined by democracy and justice, but the mechanisms that enforce global authority today reveal a different lineage. Modern centralized bureaucracies employ the same principles of legibility and meritocratic loyalty that Genghis Khan used to dismantle tribal bloodlines. Global power today is exerted through horizontal networks of corporate and political elites who operate regardless of national boundaries. Like the Mongol system, modern states utilize the threat of targeted force to maintain order, rendering physical walls secondary to the social relation of power. The horizontal, decentralized power structures pioneered on the steppes now provide the invisible architecture of modern global authority.